Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Airgun Geeks podcast, brought to you via Target Forge. And I just want to take a moment and ask everyone to please help us share this episode in particular, because I think it's really important, not only to the airgun community, but to us as a country and a society at large. We're going to share a story tonight about the Sons of the Flag organization and what they're doing to help people recover from horrendous burn injuries, damage that was done either through fires or explosions, military, non-military, first responder, civilians, everyone. And I think getting this message out and letting people know what these people are doing is so important. So without further ado, we're going to drop into a really quick 5-minute video from Sons of the Flag, and then we're going to get right in the podcast. So thanks for joining me tonight.
When I was in the service, we knew that IEDs were prevalent, and we knew they were all over the country in Iraq, and they're all over the country in Afghanistan. You never think that it's going to happen to you, and then it does. I was very fortunate where my burns were very, very small, first-degree burns. They heal. But there are less fortunate soldiers out there that are fighting today that go through IEDs who don't have the same circumstances, and they spend months, if not years, in the burn unit. When somebody gets severely burned and they have disfigurement, every single day they have to go and look in the mirror and look at somebody new, identify themselves in a new form, and then they have to overcome that and live their life. The simplest thing we can do is support them and empower them.
There's a whole lot more people who are badly burned than there were in the past because they lived. And those survivors now have these bad scars. So one of the big research pushes that I've been driving and others around the country is, what about scar? And how can we manage this? People ought to be able to live their life and do whatever they want to do with whatever they've got. It's the same thing with prosthetics. We want the same thing for burns.
You know, back in the Vietnam era, there was a lot of limbs being lost, and that's when the advancements of prosthetics started really hitting home. And today, when you see a prosthetic, somebody puts a pant leg over it, and you can't tell. The advancements are incredible, but we're not there with burns at all. Sons of the Flag, in its infancy, started just to help one person. And there were so many patriotic people around the country that jumped on board to help us in the initial phase. We've grown it to over 20 states, and over the last 5 years, we've navigated this terrain and done incredible things like set up an endowment at a hospital to give indigent patients things like burn garments and creams so that they'll never have to worry about leaving the hospital without the proper medical stuff they need, to helping out with a family home for when the patient's in the hospital, and to the unique things like hiring fellowships.
Supply sometimes doesn't meet the demand, and that's been the case in the last several years in the United States. Is we don't really have enough burn surgeons.
So we need to add to the mix of doctors. So every year we hire a new doctor. They end their fellowship or in their residency, they become a fellow and then a burn fellow, and we pay or scholarship that doctor to become a burn surgeon, to learn under another burn surgeon. What
the Sons of the Flag does is really a scalable activity, right? So Sons of the Flag pays to train another burn surgeon. That guy or that girl is going to take care of thousands of burn patients.
What we really want to do as we grow this organization is to be able to help individuals who have endured a burn injury and their families go through it as smooth as possible with the best overall outcome.
Sons of the Flag is making a real difference in people. You know, many of my patients are all the time said nothing but good things about what Sons of the Flag has done for them.
One of our good friends, Omar Avila, severely burned in action in the war in Iraq. He asked for a set of weights.
Ryan's like, what can I do for you? And I said, all right, I need some weights. And then he goes, well, how much do you need? I said, I bought 800 pounds. And then he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll lift it for you one day if you want.
If a burn patient says, this is what I need to get healthier, well, that patient is telling us exactly what they need.
When I walk into the gym, I feel like I have no burns. My hands are fine. My body is fine. That's where I feel at peace and normal.
So we got him a set of weights, and he used them every day, and he is currently the world record holder for the Paralympics for deadlift and bench press. Taking a soldier and getting him back in the gym and then getting him fired up again to live a good life and feeling proud of himself and his accomplishments, that's a win. To all our donors, both the private donors to the corporate sponsors, we would not be able to carry out the plan of attack without their financial support.
Sons of the Flag has seen the need, and they're meeting it.
Every single dollar I've always seen goes right back out to support the military, our first responders, even civilians.
We're being proactive for the future because people are going to continually get burned.
Until we reach no deaths, no scar, and no pain, we still got a long way to go. You've got to recognize these people were hurt defending me, and so I need to give every effort I can to help them.
Our hope at Sons of the Flag is that 40 years from now, people say, you know what, during these wars that we're in currently, a team of people stepped up to the plate to help burn care, so that today, 40 years from now, they don't have to deal with the lifelong injury and the scarring.
Working with Sons of the Flag reminds me of how good people can be.
You ready, Bill?
I am ready to go.
All right, here we go. I got to hit record too. And welcome to another episode of the Airgun Geeks podcast. This one is Sons of the Flag. Bill, how you doing?
I am amazing, Patrick. Delighted to be here with you again.
Likewise. I see you got my memo about wearing your shirt.
I did.
Oh, no, wait. You sent me the memo.
I was tired of being penalized for not wearing my my uniform to work.
Well, I always forget your name. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's Bill.
Yeah, I'm easy to forget.
So how are things in California?
I'll tell you what, it has been god awful hot out here. And I'm not a small guy. I don't do well in the heat. And it has been we've been triple digits almost all last week. And my shop is like a tobacco shed. If you're not familiar with those, they are ridiculously hot. And the solar heating on that roof is really, really high. So it gets to be about 110, 115 degrees in my shop when it's 102 outside. So I'm not welding in that environment. That's just not conducive to a long and happy life. So I typically go nocturnal or very early morning when it gets like this. And this is really the first sustained heat wave I've had. I'm pretty close to the coast, so I typically get a lot of buffering from that giant Pacific Ocean, but it's been brutal this week. And I've shifted to only working until about 11 or 12 in the shop and then going back in about 7 or 8 at night. But that really puts a damper on how much actual work you can get done. But it's been entertaining, and we survived it. And hopefully, yesterday was beautiful. It was like 75 degrees, overcast. So we didn't have that sun blasting out of the sky. And today it got a little warmer and more humid, but hopefully we'll stabilize here shortly.
So you're not starting Target Forge Bakery?
No.
Cool. Yeah, things have been pretty good on my end. Just, doing crazy stuff with the air guns and whatnot. And Bonnie had to go in for some more surgeries, but nothing major, but she's doing well. So, and then trying to somehow find a way to go down and shoot iguanas next year or something. But yeah, other than that, things are doing well. But I'm over here and I'm just so excited. I'm trying to tell you this, Bill, and I can't hold it in no more. But I finally you remember when we went to the banquet at RMAC last June and we met this older gentleman with a great beard and this young man who stole the whole show, and we forgot that it was about air guns, Sons of the Flag.
I actually got the opportunity to meet at least one of these two gentlemen, the one with the spectacular handlebar mustache. I got to meet him before all of this, and he and I had a talk at his booth under the big tent at RMAC. And I was so blown away with the story that he presented to me that I immediately went over and said, "Hey, Patrick, we got to get these guys on the podcast because there's some really cool stuff going on here. And I think if we can help spread this message, we need to be a part of it."
Yeah, I couldn't agree much. That was my first time to RMAC, and I was like, why do they got firemen here? What's going to happen? And and then I saw Zach walk in, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, I was like real curious on, what was this all about? And then I was just so busy running around talking to people, and then we met him at the banquet, and I was just blown away. So
as you were, if you've never been to RMAC, there is this huge banquet they have at a large hotel. I think it's in Provo, right? No.
Yeah.
Is it Provo?
I think it's in Provo. Yeah.
And there, the whole edge of the banquet is surrounded by raffle items, and that's really a big part of the banquet, right? Is the raffle items. And you get to this one table right near the door, and there's this enormous spread of really sweet gear, custom air guns, and a lot of fireman themed items there on the table. And you're just like, wow, this stands out like a sore thumb. This is huge. And then you see, most of the items in the raffle have little cups where there's like, 30 or 40 tickets in that cup. And then you get to the Sons of the Flag section, and there's a huge, like, they went and got a big bowl from the banquet staff and had to use that for the tickets. And I'm like, this is telling of how much this stands out and how much people are behind this. And at this point, we hadn't even heard from Zach yet.
Nope.
And by the time we heard from Zach, it was just there was hardly a dry eye in the house. And the taps flowed, and there was a lot of support and a lot of pouring out of support for someone that we really hope becomes a very skilled airgun shooter. I am absolutely over the moon to be able to see him compete in the future, if that's in the cards. And we may touch on that a little later, but I was absolutely blown away with the whole experience. And I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining us today.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have Scott Ash, which we'll get to know who he is. And we have the infamous Zach we keep talking about, Zach Setterfield. And I also want to mention his mom, that I learned is not just mom. She does a little something else for Sons of the Flag too, but we'll get into that when we start talking to her.
Fantastic.
So Scott, who is Scott Ash? Tell the people who you are.
And how do you get away with having a name like Scott Ash as a fireman? Doesn't that mean you're a little too late?
You know what? It was in the cards, I guess. Well, Patrick and Bill, thanks for having us on. I got into the fire service a little later in life. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, and admittedly, I wanted to join law enforcement, and my wife said absolutely no. And so I started looking at other avenues in public safety, and ended up getting all my fire certifications, becoming a paramedic, and I've been doing this now for 18 years.
Wow.
I work for a town in Utah, Pleasant Grove. It services about 45,000 people. We average, we run 48-hour shifts. So we go to work, we're there for 48 hours, and then we go home. And we hit anywhere from 8 to 20 calls around, and we cover anything from a stub toe to gunshot wounds, stabbings, you name it. So it's been a real rewarding job. I've enjoyed it. With the fire department, we have this convention, and it's back in Indianapolis. and it's called FDIC. We do it. It's a yearly event, and I've been going to that for several years, and that's where I was introduced to Sons of the Flag.
Wow.
So, Sons of the Flag was organized back in 2012 by a man by the name of Ryan Birdman Parrott. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He himself had an event while he was in Iraq where his Humvee that he was riding in hit an IED, and he had first and second degree burns on his face and hands, arms. Several years later, when he came home, he was in an event and he met a gentleman by the name of Sam Brown. It's a name to write down and look up. Sam Brown is a
He's the
retired
lifter,
Army.
right?
I don't know. I don't think he lifts, but he's a retired Army captain, and he sustained some pretty devastating, severe burns. And Birdman wanted to help him out. He asked Sam, what are they doing for you? And unfortunately, Sam said, "This is as pretty as I'm going to get." And Bird, he said, "No, this isn't right." So he started to look into burn care, what he could do. What started out to be just for one person has turned into a huge organization, and we can talk more about it as we get going. But that's how I was introduced to Sons of the Flag. It's been now, I think it was about 2014 or 15 that I started with them.
Wow. That's wow. Okay. All right. And now we have Zach. Zach,
The man of the hour.
The man of the hour. So who is Zach?
Oh, that's a great question. What a existential question. I'm a burn survivor. I'm a Sons of the Flag brand or ambassador. I'm a college student. I'm a brother. I'm an annoyance to my parents. I'm a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. I'm still an annoyance to my mother, so that's good. Keep that up. That's cool. That's cool. So we met you, Bill and I met you, first casually walking around Armac, checking everything out. And then we really I got to have a conversation with you with two other guys. And we were asking, well, who are you? Where are you from? And all of that. And your story was, I really don't have any words. I was just amazed on where you came from, what you're doing. I think you said you were going to college to become a teacher.
Yes, sir.
And that seems to be the same path that you're on.
Yeah. Teaching in a different way.
Yes. So I was thoroughly impressed, and I immediately ran over to Bill after I was done talking to you, and I said, "Have you seen Zach?" And not too long after that, because he was talking to someone else, you come up on stage and you took everyone's attention. The place was dead silent. We were listening to every single word. It was absolutely amazing.
To put that in perspective,
yeah, help me out, Bill.
You've got a whole room full of people who are absolutely devoted to air guns and everything about air guns, and they're literally there for the Super Bowl of the air gun world, and it just immediately went weep, like it was insignificant. You were magnificent, Zach, and I want you to know that you have got a definite gift for not only working that crowd, but your gift for words and your gift for presentation is absolutely unparalleled. You are an inspiration.
Oh, I'll have to have you write my resume one day, because you do a better job than I can. I'll tell you that. Thank you for those kind words.
Well, the beauty of it, Zach, is you don't even have to try. It just naturally happens. And that's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's a gift that someone tried to take away. And you said no.
No.
And you followed that light to shine it from all ends of the earth, in my opinion, which I don't know if you've listened to the podcast. This podcast is listened all over the world.
Well, yay.
So
I'm happy about that.
It excites me because the people are so open-minded. They're so honest. One of the podcasts I would suggest you watch is the one on art. He was a very honest older gentleman, and you'll hear Bill talk about when we don't watch our mouth. He'll call us on the carpet. I can't remember, what was the name of that podcast? Art of the West?
Art of the Fast Draw.
Art of the Fast Draw. That's
and
it.
Art Womack is the gentleman's name, and he
Art
is
Womack.
an outstanding human being and an outstanding air gunner as well.
Yes. And he's just a normal air gunner, and who sent me an email and told me about him, just like me talking to you. And it just blew me away. And then I meet you and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to bring Zach and Scott and everyone on the platform that God gave me so that you can shed your light even farther. So
hey Patrick, so yes. Here's one thing that I noticed about this was the airgun community is a lot like the fire department. You're a group of brothers, and it shows. Like you said, the RMAC, this is the Super Bowl of air guns, and anybody who's anybody is there, right? And to see you guys interact and the brotherhood that you actually have, I mean, you're competing against each other. And if I'm going up against you, Bill or Patrick, and my gun breaks, you're gonna hand me a part to fix my gun so you can compete against the best. That's a brotherhood. As with that, you're also type A people. You're very headstrong, and as our firemen. And what impressed me when Zach got up and he took that mic, it went completely silent. Everybody was hanging on every word that he said.
Yep.
Everybody. I mean, there were tears throughout that huge room of people. And to me, that said, that restores my faith in humanity in these days, that are somewhat on edge. I looked around and I thought, this is why we do what we do, because of people like Zach, who is just an incredible young man. And it for me, it was such a reassuring, and I was so re-energized to be doing what I do and to see how well he was received. It was awesome.
Yep.
And as his mom, it was, and my husband, Carl, us walking into that and the love that these guys gave to Zach was immediate. There were hugs, there was tears, there was a true brotherhood being built. These guys were wonderful to our kid, and that was beautiful for us as parents to see that the world is going to accept him and he is going to do great things. And it's because of brotherhoods that you guys offered that day and that weekend that, it was teary-eyed for me and my husband to experience.
When we got to watch the brotherhood just take him in and let's teach you how to shoot. How can we do this? It's something that Zach has talked to us for years about that he wanted to do. And because most weapons have such recoil, he couldn't deal with it. But to watch him then go down to the range and knock 9 out of 10 out, it was just the most amazing thing for us ever. And plus the love of everybody there was just, it was beautiful. It's really beautiful.
It's like you've known everyone for 20 years. You just came to the family reunion. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I can't explain it. You just have to be there. So and that's the true culture of the air gunning hobby. It's more of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I still talk to people all over the world And I'm like, and in my day job, I talk and sell air guns too. And I tell them, you gotta look at this guy, and I tell him about you, Zach, and I tell him about the website and stuff, and and I'm like, you just have to. But
It's amazing. It truly is. You guys really accepted me, and I wasn't an amputee. I wasn't a burn survivor that day. I was just another man on that course trying to hit my target. So it was just it was really nice to be accepted.
yeah,
Fantastic.
that's the beauty of it. So with all of that, Zach, if you don't mind, would you mind telling everyone how did all of this happen to you? What happened?
Absolutely. So I was injured back in 2018, July 20th of 2018. I had just transferred schools to finish out my degree at Texas State University, university out in San Marcos, Texas. I was there for about 10 days, and on the 10th day, someone intentionally set my apartment complex on fire. It was an older apartment building, and because it wasn't up to date with current fire codes or current fire safety measures, the building went up in about 180 seconds. Yeah, so I was on the second story. I threw myself off of the metal banister. That's where I lost my fingers. And I fell from the second story, and I landed on the right side of my head. From there, I was transferred to Brooke Army Medical Center, where I underwent 32 different surgeries, skin grafts, amputations of my fingers, neck releases, just about everything under the sun, just so I could live.
Wow.
We stayed there for about 18 months, and then went home, and then COVID hit. And I was kind of destitute at that point in time in my life, and I was kind of told, hey, we can't do any more surgeries for you. And that's when we reached back out to the amazing organization Sons of the Flag, and my life has been pretty amazing there on after.
That's amazing.
The fire took 5 lives that morning, and 2 of those were Zach's roommates.
Wow.
That's I got no words, but
So
not to be selfish, but I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah,
I'm
blessed. So are we.
definitely.
so Zach, what is your current trajectory with Sons of the Flags, and where are you going next?
Absolutely. So my job is to speak about what Sons of the Flag does for burn survivors, kind of spread the message of fire safety while I'm doing it, and kind of be a light in people's lives of like, hey, learn from my mistakes. So my major goal right now is to educate our youth, educate our young adults going into college about fire safety, look before you lease and those kinds of things, and kind of just learning from what happened to me and how we can make sure that other students and other young adults and other military members live in safe and equitable housing, and just spreading that message of fire safety. Because
So
I like to tell people that I received fire education in 5th grade, and that was kind of it.
yeah. So tell us, for our listeners and our viewers, tell us for a minute, what is that primary message that you try to get out to young students who are looking to go live away from home for the first time, and are investigating, renting for the first time? What are they looking for? What are the key elements that help them differentiate between, oh my God, this is a death trap, or hey, this is pretty good?
Absolutely.
What are you looking for?
That's a great question. So it's really dependent on the municipality and area that your child or your loved one is moving to. But I would say when you are looking to lease an apartment or you're moving into a new place, one, you got to make sure that there is a centralized alarm system, fire alarms, i.e., centralized alarm systems that allow the residents to know if there's a fire on 104, the entire apartment complex is notified to get out of the building.
Right.
On top of that, making sure that your apartment is sprinklered and has firewalls. My apartment complex, because it was older, didn't have firewalls, so it spread much quicker. And it didn't have sprinklers because it didn't have to have sprinklers. And in the history of fires that have taken lives, I think there's only one death from a sprinklered building versus countless from unsprinklered buildings. So I would say, look before you lease. It is your right to know, as someone who is leasing an apartment, if the apartment has met its current or its current safety goals, if it's been inspected and it passes that inspection. And then 2, making sure that the apartment is up to date with everything, sprinklers, firewalls, and all that. And of course, fire extinguishers, because that's a big part too.
And
that's like my go-to speech.
And probably getting
sorry.
that real estate agent to kind of stop pushing you in that direction and say, no, I want this information. You owe me this information.
Absolutely.
This is my safety we're talking about. Don't try to sugarcoat this or sweep it under the rug. We're going to deal with this. I think that's amazing. And I am so glad that you are on the pointy end of that stick.
Well, thank you. I like to tell people that I'm just that stubborn. And so no one's going to tell me no, and I don't care if I have to talk to 100 different schools.
I have not a doubt in my mind.
I don't either.
Doubt in my mind.
But
what were you going to say, Scott?
Well, I was just going to say, I have daughters Zach's age, and it just so happened that after Zach came and visited RMAC, 2 of my daughters were moving out, and admittedly, even I'm a fireman for 18 years. I didn't even think about that kind of stuff for my daughters. And then after meeting Zach, we made sure that both of them are living in the high density apartments, and that was number 1 on our list. So, I mean, he's even teaching firemen.
I don't know if you remember or not, Zach, but I'm actually a retired law enforcement. So I'm always razzing Scott. I'm like, firemen don't do anything. So they need to be taught as much as they can.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but they do know how to cook. I will give them that.
Firefighters can cook a good meal. I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm. It's always good. Sometimes, we'd set the alarm off. They would leave and we would come in off the street and eat the food. And they'd be like, what? Where's our food?
It went up in flames.
Yeah, you burned it. It's hard. Threw it out. So, wow. Well, that's very good information, because my son just got his first apartment and it doesn't have sprinklers. Actually, none of them do. Yes. And we're in Ohio. But he's on the first floor, but they do have networked smoke and fire alarms.
That's an amazing thing to look for. Yeah, that's one of those things that really does save lives, and it gives anyone a fighting chance to get out of the building quickly.
Yeah. And we knew that because someone tested them.
Good.
So they work. So that was a good thing. But I also told him, I was like, it might be a good idea to keep your tools in here. So if you have to bust the window out,
yes,
you can get in, and his bed's by the window, just in case.
Yeah, all the things, when I moved off to college, I think I was more worried about hanging out with my friends or going to a rager or whatever than I was about, fire safety. I was just a young college student. And I think so many kids, when they're getting ready to move out to college, it's, hey, I don't have to hang out with my parents. Hey, I get to be free. And
party.
Party. They don't really think about where they're putting their head down at night and making sure that place is safe and up to code.
Very true.
That's called adulting. And who wants to do that? You're just now flapping your. I don't want to adult now, and it's like it sucks being an adult all the time.
It does.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. So, Scott, tell me a little more about Sons of the Flag. You touched on it in the beginning, but let's go a little deeper.
So, Sons of the Flag, we're out to take. Our goal is to take the burn care to the next level. There's so many degrees of burn care, and it doesn't just start with the actual treatment of the patient. It goes a lot farther than that. In the U.S. each year, there's about 486,000 people who need medical treatment from burns. In the United States, there is around 200 burn surgeons. So not for 200 taking care of 486,000. It's not enough. So
your odds of getting that appointment are pretty small.
Yeah, unless you know an organization like Sons of the Flag, then bad things could happen. I mean, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, he was slated just to lose his hands. They weren't going to do anything. And Sons of the Flag said, no, we know a place that we can take and send you. We send our burn survivors out to these treatment facilities, these hospitals. We partner with several different hospitals. The one that Zach's been going to is Tampa General.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't say no. We do everything that we can to make that life better. Mm-hmm. We each year we send fellows through a year of their schooling so that we can get more burn surgeons out there. Currently, Sons of the Flag has what I'm part of is the task force. And my role is, as a Utah task force leader, is to set up events like we did at RMAC. Mm-hmm. Currently, there's about 56 task force members in 28 states. And so taking it from a task force, what I do is I was fortunate enough I've been shooting air guns with Justin Jacobson since we were like 6. I mean, wow. There's a lot of stories that I could tell you about Justin.
You and I have to hook up. I want to hear
a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole nother incriminating podcast.
Fantastic.
Justin is the man. And he reached out to me about 4 years ago, and he knew that I was involved with this organization. He said, hey, let's do something for you. And so the year before COVID was the first year that we went to RMAC, and we did the same thing. It was good, and everybody was just as awesome. It was just the first time that we had done it. We were kind of working through some of the hiccups, mm-hmm. But Justin says, yeah, let's do this. He built us an awesome gun the first time. This time at RMAC, Justin reached out again and said, hey, the door's still open. Let's do this again. And so this booth that you talked about earlier in the podcast, Justin provided us an FX Streamline gun. He put an amazing Cerakote on it, mm-hmm. And said, here, raffle this off. And the first year it did really well, but we didn't have the big tent that he had with all the vendors.
Right.
So this year we got to the event. They had this phenomenal tent with all these amazing vendors. And I think, Bill, I sat down with you before we had the gun sitting there with us, mm-hmm. and we were getting lots of people looking at it, wanting to know what it was about. And as I was sitting there, I started looking around. I said, hey, I'm like, I think we can go to the rest of these vendors and we can really make this a good gun. And so, respectfully, I asked Justin, hey, would this be okay to do? And he said, dude, go. So with this already gun that anybody would want, we set off on a little adventure. And I mean, by the time we were done talking to all these, there wasn't a single vendor there that didn't offer something. I mean, we had an Accutech bipod, we had DonnyFL kicked in, an air tank and a bag, Hawk threw on a scope, Armageddon threw in swag. It just, I mean, I shouldn't be naming names because it goes on and on, to where, like you said, at the banquet when we got there and we displayed this gun there, and we had collected everything. Mm-hmm. We had the scope on. This thing was to die for. Mm-hmm. And we quickly realized that we need a bigger container because the tickets were just flowing into that thing. So that's what I do as a task force leader. I set up events. I get the word out. We take the funds that we get from these events, and those go towards putting our doctors through their fellowship. more importantly, they help people like Zach get the surgeries that they need. We're next, is it this month, Zach, that you're heading out to Tampa again?
Yeah, it's my last round of surgeries. It's September 28th. I'm scheduled for my last round for a while.
So yeah, Zach will have to tell us about this this next round of surgeries that he's getting, but we fly him out. This is nothing out of pocket. We take care of our burn victims, and yeah, that's why I do what we do for guys like Zach.
Well, and Scott's family, Scott was amazing when we showed up, but of course his family was on board as well. And they really just opened their arms to us. You know, we got to meet his wife, his daughters.
The whole 9 yards. They were just like the gun community. They just opened arms. We felt like they were a part of our family. And just the love from just a complete and total stranger. I felt like Scott's my uncle now, you know? It's just like, sorry that you're part of the family, but you're part of the family.
That's awesome. Yeah. Nature over nurture. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's wow. So Scott mentioned your surgery, Zach. What, if you don't mind, what are they going to be doing?
Absolutely. So what they'll be finishing is my right hand, they're going to finish rebuilding. They're going to open the web spacings between my last 3 fingers. They're going to, my right ear is fused to my skull because the burns kind of fused it to my skull. So what they'll do is they'll rebuild the ear, prop it up so I have 2 working ears. They're going to do more fat cell injections to my lower and mid and upper back because, you know, I was burned so severely that my back is, I have no fat, I have no fascia, it's just skin and bone. So it's very uncomfortable to lay down.
I bet.
So they'll do some fat cell injections there. The ear, the hand. Am I forgetting anything? Nose. Oh, and they're going to fix my nose. My right nostril is, because of this scar tissue, it's pulled up just slightly. So my right nostril is pretty messed up and it kind of affects my breathing. And they're also going to fix my lip because the flames kind of, my lip skin and my nose skin kind of fused together. So they're going to fix that and just make me look all kinds of pretty.
Nice. So hopefully they don't get rid of your selective hearing when you're a husband.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't. That would saves me a lot.
I think that's more internal than anything.
Yeah. I like to block them out as much as I can, right?
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Is there, if you don't mind me asking, is there any plans to do anything with your other hand?
Well, yes, there were plans to do something with my other hand. The doctor and the team down there believe that. So I'm missing all the external digits and I just have small metacarpals left. And what they think they can do is create a web spacing between the thumb and the index finger. The reason that I'm not doing that when we go down this time is because I'm so focused on finishing this hand that this hand over here is just kind of a helper hand. And I've gotten so used to opening water bottles, driving, you know, eating with it that this
shooting
is more
Airguns.
than anything. Yeah.
I was going to say it looks like a perfect. It looks like a perfect rifle rest. So
It's perfect.
I think you have an advantage already over all of us for offhand shooting. No point intended. The offhand shooting comment.
Oh, I like that.
See what I did there? Sorry, that was my dad joke. So here. Do you know when a dad joke becomes a dad joke?
I don't.
When it becomes apparent. Come on.
Oh, that's so good.
Nicely played.
He's going to use that now.
I love that. Yeah.
You can. I'm horrible because when we go out and my wife, she's always she rolls her eyes when they ask, well, how do you want your burger, your steak cooked? I go, on the grill, of course. You know, and she's like, no.
So this is what was cool about this whole event is, you know, why the end goal is to get the word out about Sons of the Flag and to make that money to provide these you know, vital things that we do. More importantly for me on this one was the fact that we got to meet Zach and all the little side things that are happening now with Zach and the Airgun community. When we started walking around the different booths, we went to the Raw, is it right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Raw and Air
Arizona
Force. Yep.
What's your man's name? The guy that looks like he'd freaking
Ton Jones.
Ton, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that dude was awesome. He pulled Zach aside and he pulled out his own gun. And that was the first time when we're like, dude, I think you could shoot one of these. Ton had him, holding that gun and pulling the trigger there in the tent. And we're like, dude, this is going to happen. And it was later, the next day is when, competition was going on in the upper range. And Justin said, hey, let's go down to the lower range. And we grabbed all of us. Rossi went down and had some Firebirds down there. They're blowing stuff up. And that's when we put the gun into Zach's hand for the first time. And he started just freaking destroying the range.
Nice.
And I mean, like, you're looking at guys like Justin and Ross. These guys are, they're air gunners, right? Mm-hmm. And as Zach's pinging these things off one after another, we're looking at each other, and before you knew it, there had collected this. It was like the president showing up, right? Word started getting out. Hey, Zach's down at the lower range shooting these guns, and we had this ginormous crowd of people down there just to watch Zach shoot. And awesome. That's when the whole concept of hey, let's get this kid a gun. Duke Smith, the dude's a badass. Nothing else needs to be said about that.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Pro Air, they're like, you know what? Let's do this. And I'm telling you, man, watch out next year because Zach's gonna come at you.
Are you saying, Zach, that you're gonna be at the bench trying to outshoot me?
Oh, I'm coming for the gold. I'm coming for the gold. I want my name and lights. I'm coming for that title is what I'm saying.
Sounds like he's swinging for the fences.
I am.
He's going to lead with lead and then walk in. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this entourage? What is this red carpet? Yeah,
I'm just so excited to go down there next year and just go shooting. Being an amputee, being a burn survivor, I never thought I'd be able to hold a weapon, let alone shoot one. And then to have this just family bond instantaneous with the Utah guys and Scott, it was just like, this is the most amazing thing. And then when I was down at that range shooting, oh man, you couldn't pull me away from that gun.
I saw your smile as soon as Scott started talking about air guns. You're like, it's very addicting. I tell everyone that. Yeah. And I'll call it now. You're not going to just be shooting air guns. There's going to be a lot happening next year with you.
Yes,
and
sir.
I hope that I'm part of your entourage and get to experience that. So I'm automatically going to ask if you'll join the podcast live like we did this year. Next year, we're going to talk about all your experiences. And I think I'm going to do a full episode just on Sons of the Flag because this year we did multiple shooters on each episode. And that ran for 3 weeks, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
We had so many people that we just interviewed.
It was really quality content, though.
And people are just impressed with the sound and everything. And Bill, we were talking about you. We're like, there's something here, But to go back on Duke is part of Pro Air. He's also the director of FX Outdoors, which you'll start seeing more and more of. Which is a branch off of FX Airguns and FX USA and all of that. So priceless people there.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
Overall. And
amazing people.
How many, Bill, do you guys remember how many spectators they had? They mentioned it at the banquet. I think it was right around 200 or 300 people who weren't even shooting. Who air gunners were like, you want to shoot the air guns? And then they were letting them. And then, like you were saying, Scott, some people's guns went down and they said, well, I'm out. So here's mine.
Yeah.
Here's the holdovers. Here's the your the shooting card, your dope and all that is what I'm trying to say. And tuned it for them real quick. Cause some of those are, specific right-handed or left-handed like myself. and then they were back in the competition. Or if it was an FX, FX was there and they fixed the gun real quick. And no questions. Just here you go.
Yeah, I mean, I even had, it was Ton who came up. He had a part, and I don't even know what it was, but he asked if I had a tongue little depressor that they could use, like a popsicle stick.
Yeah.
And luckily we had one. And I mean, he went off and carved this little piece out of a popsicle stick for somebody. It was awesome. Like, really, yeah. Words don't say it.
So I had one more question for Scott on the topic of Sons of the Flag. In my research, it looked like that started out predominantly as a military support structure, and then later branched out more into the civilian world. How did that actually happen? How did that transpire?
That's a great question. You're right. I kind of touched on it to begin with. At first, it was just for Sam Brown, and it had such a positive outcome that the Birdman said, you know what, we need to expand this. It went into it was always with the military. It moved into your first responders, your firemen, your policemen.
Right.
The majority of our task force is created is made up of firemen. That's the bulk of it is firemen.
Of course, you guys are going to be very passionate about that exact problem you're trying to solve.
Exactly. If somebody's going to see traumatic burn injuries, it's going to be us. And again, it just had positive outcomes to the point where we said, why are we holding this this should be for everybody. And we turned it loose. We said, it's a burn survivor foundation. It's for, it's for your mom, your dad, your grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, firemen, policemen, military. It doesn't matter who you are. Sons of the Flag is there to help. We're also, to make this thing work, we need more. We need more task force members. It doesn't just have to be firemen to run this task force. On our website, sonsoftheflag.org, there's actually a section on there that you can go to and you can join the task force. There's a application process, and they accept, the goal is to get task force members, everywhere. We in our specific areas, we reach out, we go to our burn centers. We have the University of Utah here, and it's a phenomenal burn center. We let them know that we're available if you need something. If you have a kid that wants to go to burn camp and can't afford it, we'll pay for it. We put together, they're called go bags. It's just, all it is it's a duffel bag, and it's got blankets, it's got your toiletries, it's got phone chargers, it's got puzzle books in it, so that in the event that you're experience a burn injury and you find yourself at a hospital, we give these go bags to the family members just to help get them by for a few days. It's limitless, man.
Well, speaking on behalf of my brothers in the airgun world, how best can the airgun community support you? Is there a convenient way for them to go and kick some cash into the Sons of the Flag's coffers to help further this mission?
Absolutely. The website also has a donation page that you can go on, and you can do a one-time donation. You can do monthly donations. And again, even a lot of times, even better than money is getting people out there and advocating for us, and setting up events in different parts of the country. I'm fortunate enough here in Utah to have been kind of adopted into this airgun community. Justin Jacobson, he's not on paper a task force member, but he's every bit a task force member as I am. He's actually,
the man's got pretty broad shoulders.
Dude, yeah, he's amazing. He's actually went out. Birdman, our founder, he holds events in Texas, and Justin went out, and you have all these badass Navy SEAL dudes shooting these 50 cals and whatnot, and they actually had Justin come out and do an airgun station at one of their events.
Nice.
And so stuff like that. If there's an event in your area, contact us, see if there's a task force member in that area, and invite them to those events.
Now, how can somebody, like if somebody's got a local club event or something like that, how can they best identify who their contact would be within Sons of the Flags? Is that through the website as well?
Yeah, you can do that through the website. I'm happy to give out my email. I'll give my phone number out if they want to contact me and let me do the footwork for them.
I actually saw your phone number in the restroom at the bathroom here in
yeah,
it gets around quite a bit.
Firefighting doesn't pay that great, so I got to do other things.
No comment.
Yeah, you should.
Calendars, yeah, okay.
But yeah, all the information you can find on sonsoftheflag.org. And again, I'm happy to leave my contact.
Fantastic.
So when I was going through the website, like rigorously today, being very focused, I came across a picture of this young boy. I would assume it'd be pediatrics. Yeah. And the smile on his face, I don't want to say it outshines yours, Zach, but it was just like, who is this young little man? And I was just like, I started smiling, but yet I was sad at the same time that he had to go through all that. So you go all the way down to, like, we'll say toddlers? Yeah.
So the program that Zach is in, it's called Mission Reconstruct Freedom. Okay. And that's a lot of that's based out of the Tampa, Florida hospital. And that's where Zach's gone to get all his surgeries on his hands, the ears. That's where he's going at the end of this month. On the flip side to that, we have, it's called EJ's Kids. And EJ, it's Dr. EJ Caterson, and he's the chief plastic surgeon out of DuPont Children's Hospital in Wilmington. And really that program is exactly it's the same program that Zach's in, the Mission Reconstruct, only for pediatrics, for young kids.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool that it's like compartmentalized.
Yeah.
To handle each age group.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in each age group, there's different, focuses that you have to,
different needs and all that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm just looking at the list. I'm going to look down, but right now, just to kind of show, to explain some of our partner hospitals, we partnered with in UT Southwestern, Brooks Army Medical, Brigham Women's Hospital, Bay Pines, John Hopkins, Parkland Burn Center, DuPont Children's, Legacy Center in Oregon, the University of South Florida, and Tampa General. Those are some pretty big burn centers, and that's the kind of backing that just shows that we're legit. We're working with major players in the burn surviving world.
Wow.
I've seen your work. I have no doubt you're legit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Zach, I mean, he's our poster child, man. He's beautiful.
Oh, you're gonna make my head too big,
Come on.
Well, that's why you got double doors. I see him off to the side in the screen. That's so you can fit
through. and you saw, I think it was you, Patrick, that mentioned it. That Zach's hand, when you shake his hand, if you're not careful, he'll break it. I mean, he's got there's a lot of power
Same
in
rules
that
apply when
hand.
playing with crabs and lobsters. No
Yeah.
offense. They grab a
Crab.
hold of you. I'm like shaking his hand, going, "Yeah, this doesn't hurt. How are you? Yes." I'm like, "Can you please let go? This hurts. This is my shooting hand."
Yeah.
Oh, this is going
So-
through now. But I was amazed on the power that you have, which is it shows what the doctors have done.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
good surgeons connecting the ligaments right so that you have independence, because not having two hands, I can't even comprehend that. So I totally understand focusing on one. I'd sooner have one good hand than no
Yeah.
good hands, and going from there. But also how you've adapted. I could barely take the lid off a water bottle, and I have two full hands. And you're like, "Here you go." I'm like, "What?" So when my wife complains she can't open the pickle jar, I'm going to be like, "I know a guy that can do it very well. Why can't you?"
True story. True story.
And Zach, know that you and I are brothers because we both have traumatic brain injuries.
Oh,
Wow.
I had a stroke in 2019, and
Oh my goodness.
it was a pretty rough ride. And if it wasn't for the amazing people at Stanford University, I wouldn't be talking to you right today. So, we definitely share at least part. I mean,
Wow.
you
It's nice
take
to have a brother
you
here.
take the cake. You take the cake when it comes to what you've been through. But I know what that whole brain injury is like. I know what it's like trying to get to know yourself again from the inside, because the very essence of you is what was hurt.
Yes,
And that can be a really long and dark road.
it is, but when you have a family, when you have a group like Sons of the Flag, when you have family like Scott Ash, when you have people like yourselves, the amazing Utah Air Gunners, who welcome you with open arms, it's so easy to just get back to your normal self, because you have these groups, you have these bonds, and you have I mean, speaking for myself, I have a pretty awesome life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so the community knows, and thanks for picking up on that, Bill. So when Zach went off that second story, he had a really significant TBI. That's another amazing. He's got amazing story after amazing story. They actually had to take a piece of his skull off and let that swelling down, and it was off for so long. Correct me if I'm wrong. That it ended up becoming infected and unusable.
Yes.
And so they've custom made a piece that they put in, and that's now his skull.
Yeah,
and
for about 15 months I didn't have a skull piece.
Wow.
So he's dealing with his burns and the TBI, and so to be where he's at, it's just beyond amazing.
Truly blessed. Yeah, but for so long I didn't have a skull piece, and they 3D printed me one, and I got to stop wearing my traumatic brain injury helmet. And yeah, I'm here today, and I'm really, really blessed, and I think that's the best word for it. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm happy. I got a great brotherhood kind of carrying me towards success.
Agreed.
Yep. Wow. So, is there anything that you feel people should know about you, Zach, that we haven't touched?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think, if people are getting to know me, they should know that I love to read. I have two amazing dogs that I love more than anything in this world. I got a great family, and I'm just really happy to be here. I'm so happy to be alive. I'm so happy to see the sun every day, feel it on my skin. That if you see me out in public, or if you want to talk to me and you're worried about it, shoot me a message. I love talking to people. I love when people reach out to me, and I love making that connection. So if there's anyone listening or watching who's like, I'd love to talk to that young man, shoot me a message. I more than likely I'd love to talk to you too.
Very good. Very good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And the amazing thing I want to say too is your body may be different, but your soul is untouched.
Absolutely.
Your personality is untouched. And there's some people that I because my wife watches all these interesting shows and stuff like that. and they're real live shows and things like that. And they're dead on the outside and on the inside.
Yes.
Or they think they're dead on the inside and they're just like in chronic shock. And that support, that structure is so vital, and that they're not alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I remember you saying that to someone. You were just chatting with someone and you said, but I'm not alone. I have all these people, and now I have this whole room, and then it grew when you got on stage, and then you make people cry. I don't know why you do that, Zach.
It's a skill,
but especially your mother. I don't think she had a dry eye the whole night. I turn around, I'm like, she's crying again. I looked at Bill. I said, she's crying again. She's gonna need some Gatorade or something. She's crying.
The waterworks are always on in our house.
Yeah. So, but they're happy tears. I want to say that. And it's there's a big difference between crying when something bad happened and it's a negative thing and you're trying to make a positive thing, versus this is where I've come from, this is where I'm at, but I want to, and then people go here and there's no expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for your mom. Did I read right on the website that you're part of Sons of the Flag?
Yes, I am the family resource coordinator now. And so basically, if there is a burn injury, I reach out to those family members and offer them support. I think our time at BAMC for 18 months, I got to meet a lot of burn survivors, heard their stories. We all stuck together. And that's kind of what I want to bring to Sons of the Flag. It's just, if you're having a bad night, you can call me in the middle of the night. I've been there,
And what a perfect role for you, because you've walked this road. You've got the flashlight already. That is so awesome.
I got really lucky at BAMC. I was a medic in the U.S. Army for a few years. I wasn't the greatest, but I had enough knowledge to get myself in trouble. And when Dad was at BAMC, the nurses allowed me to be his caregiver. So I did his debriding. I've been through the showers. I know how to do wound care.
She's the reason that I have hands. She's the one who formed my fingers.
I got really lucky with the support I had, and I just want to give that to others.
Wow. Yeah, I read your biography on the website and I was like, what? Wait, that's the same last name. That I'll have to ask. I was impressed by that. And the fact that you took that on, because I would assume that brings back memories when you're talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that genuine connection. Because when I first met you, it was like we knew each other forever again. And then all these other people are like, can I talk to her too? I'm like, yeah. And it was just, I could go on and on and on. I love to talk, and I'm like, I am so impressed by all of this that I honestly totally forgot about air guns myself, which is very hard. And I think everyone else did, because they literally brought out a 24 by 24 inch box, and that thing was full of tickets. And I was like, I was just blown away by all of this. So
it was amazing for me as his mom, and Carl was there too. And it was hard for us to contain our tears. You guys have no idea what you're doing for our community.
Bringing us in, loving us like we're your own, letting me shoot your weapon, which I know is just that's your weapon, that's your baby, right? Opening up that range, making it hot again, and accepting us for who we are, and opening your arms and loving us as if we had known you guys for 20 years. The community that you have there and just how you took us in means the world to us. And I tell everyone about it. It was one of my favorite days.
Yes, wow. It was. And just the parents seeing that independence that you guys offered him. He's talked about wanting to go on the range. And then you guys made it happen, and it was breathtaking to me and my husband, just seeing our son be able to have a normal day and not worry about amputations, his burns, his traumatic brain injury. You guys just made it a good day.
That's awesome. So Bill, you got anything else you want to bring to light since we have them?
I do. I have one final parting thought that I'd like to share with both Scott and Zach, and Zach's mom and Zach's dad, even though he's not currently on camera with us. But at the end of every one of my YouTube videos, I have a YouTube channel called, ironically, Target Forge. And every one of those I end with be a light in the darkness. And I think a lot of people just kind of brush that aside, and most people don't even watch that long into the video. They're already clicking on to the next one, and I think that message should be heeded a lot more in these times that we're in. And I have not seen two examples of men being a light in the darkness beyond Zach and Scott, and I want to thank you both for holding that mantle.
Absolutely.
I would, Bill, I'd like to reciprocate that and say the same about yourself, Patrick, and the entire Airgun community. I wish I could go down and name every single one of you name by name. Just know that there wasn't a single person that was involved in this event that didn't take the time to come over and talk to not only myself, but Zach, and be genuinely interested in what we were doing. It wasn't one of these events where you feel like you're just kind of a hindrance. Not one time did I feel that way, and I mean, I don't cry, and I credit that event not just because of the amazing speech that Zach gave, but because of the complete unselfishness of that room, and seeing what you did for our organization, and just knowing that the lives that were changed that night was tremendous. And so I definitely want to reciprocate that to the Airgun community.
Thank you.
Yeah, agree.
And just in, before we close, I just want to mention the website again. If you go to sonsoftheflag.org, you can do all kinds of things there. You can donate. You can join the task force. You can be part of what we're doing. And most importantly, there's a tab there that if you or somebody that has been affected by burns, there's an application that you can fill out there so that we can get your health back to where it needs to be, so that you can be whole again. And that's the most important thing. We want to be there for burn survivors,
Mm-hmm.
And we want to walk through it with you. We don't want you to be alone. I remember the first few nights at the hospital. It was very lonely, very scary. And I don't want other families to feel that. Reach out to us at the website. You can reach out to me individually. I'm going to be up with you. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to try and tell you what I know. I'm not medically qualified. I just know what I've gone through. And I would love to be able to support other burn families.
And I would just like to say thank you to all Airgunners for just the amazing venue that you put on, and the way you accepted our family and the love that you gave us. It's nice to be a part of y'all's family. Yeah.
Welcome.
So I remember one thing we were talking about earlier, Scott, and I don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Wasn't Duke doing something, or someone's doing something about some fancy cheating airgun for next year for Mr. Zach?
Cheating, Patrick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, his technologically advanced electronic trigger with analog gauges.
We hope so.
You know what? RMAC 2023, you're going to want to be there, because Pro Air is there's going to be some competition. Let's just put it that way. So.
Oh, that's exciting. So you're going to have to be there. So make sure you watch. Just keep an eye on Utah Airguns. Bill and I talk about Utah all the time. And apparently Justin Jacobson is some type of catalyst I'll just say that the Lord is working through him in very mysterious ways, because it seems like everyone that Bill and I talk to, Justin's part of. Like, if you listen to the Saber Tactical episode, Justin was part of that. And then, all these other people, I'm like, who did Justin not touch? So it's amazing to be part of all of this. Any final parting words from the Sutterfield family?
Just so happy to be here. We really appreciate you having us on. We love the community that you kind of opened us into. And watch out for next year. I'm coming for that gold, okay?
He's talking smack already.
It's on.
He's talking smack already. He's got the lingo and all that. Jeez. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to join the Airgun Geeks podcast, along with Bill and Target Forge, to spread the word of peace, love, and joy. That's what we're about. And as Bill said, to bring light, to be the light in the darkness. And with that, like always, stay geeky, stay safe, stay healthy. Podcast is done. That was awesome.
Yay!
Yeah, that was awesome.